yes, I should show my face, is that this is a difficult time to be maybe just focusing on Star Wars, and because there's more important things going out there right now in the world, but we still have to find an escape to it, but also the things that we love in the material world, how we can bring them to the real world and help everyone. So yes, like I was saying, that first time is thanks Anthony for telling me this all good. Finally, yeah, I guess I don't know, some issue with the microphone, I guess, but we're here and we're going. So thanks again to everyone that tuned in the first two times, told me the audio was bad. I didn't want to go for a whole hour and then figure out that the audio wasn't working. It's not good. Again, Jawas, sorry that I messed with you, Jawas. You're good on my book now. You're good. Keep trading. But like I was saying, it's important times are going out there, and I had a few thoughts that I wanted to talk about. I had written down a couple of bullet points, and then I was just gonna shoot from the hip, as you say. But then I was watching the From a Certain Point of View podcast earlier today, and they had written this column, and I decided that if I wanted to make sure that I didn't forget anything, because again, this is very important. So I went ahead, and that last hour between 4 and 5 before I went live, I sat down and wrote down my comments or my thoughts. And I haven't proofread anything. I don't know if they're going to make sense or not, but I didn't want to forget anything, because that happens when you get emotional. You start thinking about stuff, you go one direction, you forget what you were going to talk about. And I didn't want that to happen, especially not with this. So if you guys can bear with me for a few minutes while I kind of express why I went ahead with the show today instead of canceling, and why I think it's important that we talk about it in these times. So, yes. So I titled this, My Thoughts, A Message of Hope, same as today's episode. So I didn't know if this episode would take place, as I wasn't sure if I was the best voice to carry this message or if it was the right time. Sometimes I thought yes, because my thoughts were clear, but then later they would become clouded and overwhelmed by all the images that showed up day after day, sometimes minutes after minute. I finally decided that saying something was better than saying nothing. Yes, we are a small Star Wars podcast, but we are all human beings, and one voice can start a sea of change. So why say it on this channel, the Radio Rebellion Twitter account and podcast episode, and not my personal Twitter account like I usually do for things of this nature or my political opinion? And there's two reasons for it. First, like I mentioned, we are a small channel with a small following, but we have reached a point where it has doubled the amount of followers from my personal account. So if I was to reach the highest number of people possible, then I should do it with my biggest platform. Why tell 70 people when I can try and reach 150? Second, this isn't a political issue. This isn't a Republican issue or a Democrat issue. It's a civil rights issue. It's a human rights issue, more importantly. And I want to believe that there are good people on all political ideologies that can understand this and stand up and say enough is enough when they see a certain group of people being treated completely different than the majority of others, solely because of the color of their skin. So yes, I decided to participate in Blackout Tuesday, not post anything, give that platform and that space to other people, other Black voices, to fill that space and let themselves be known and their struggles and what they want to accomplish. I'm fortunate enough to have a day job that supports my family and lets me have a Star Wars podcast as an outlet to talk about something I love, which is Star Wars, without the care that if I lose a couple of followers here or there, or people don't like what I'm standing for, then it doesn't affect my responsibilities to my family. And if you don't know me, if you don't know my name is Alberto, you haven't heard me speak, I look like your average white guy walking down the street, but I'm not. I'm a Puerto Rican that lived my first 28 years in Puerto Rico, and before moving to the States 12 years ago. I have been confused for Italian, Greek, and other Hispanic or Latino nationalities. I work at a place where the mascot is called Albert. And when I go to the food court and people ask me my name for my order, they ask me to repeat myself. to spell my name. You just have to tell them it's just like Albert with an O at the end. I have been asked a couple times by adults whose kids go to the same school as my kids if we need a green card or a visa to be in this country. Then I have to tell them no, that as Puerto Rican citizens, we're also American citizens from the day that we're born. And they never ask out of malice or negatively. And once you tell them no, this is the reason why, they go okay, and they go about their business. So there's no negativity. So I'm not trying to say that I felt what other people in my position or the Black community position have felt. So what I'm trying to say is that old adage that if you don't know your history, you're bound to repeat it. So Puerto Rico became a part of the United States back in 1898 after the Spanish-American War. Puerto Rico went from being a Spanish territory to American territory. And in 1917 or 1918, the Stafford Act made every Puerto Rican citizen an American citizen right then. So since that day, every person born in Puerto Rico has also been a Puerto Rican, an American citizen, sorry. So again, if you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it. And just because slavery ended, Black people got the right to vote, we elected the first African-American president, doesn't mean that racism isn't out there and isn't as visual. And it's not as simple as saying I'm not a racist. It's knowing that the problem is a systemic racism that affects people of color in this country, and it's brought to attention when we constantly, for years and years, have seen Black people killed on the streets in the middle of the day by the same police officers that are supposed to be here to help us, and they're not charged. And if they're charged with a crime, they're rarely prosecuted or convicted. Breonna Taylor, Eric Garner, countless more. Now, George Floyd was the last straw that culminated with all the current protests that we see out there ongoing on this country. And hopefully will bring about change, real change to the constant police brutality that we're seeing day after day. So what can we do? Support Black content creators, Black artists, Black businesses, let their voices be heard. Also, this is difficult on this climate that we're in now. Protests have to be done, protests have to be out there, but most of the protesters, which are minorities, are the same that are more highly to be affected by the still pandemic that we're seeing with COVID-19 out there. Minorities are already worse off when it comes to getting quality healthcare, and any increase in cases will also be devastating. So if you're out there, please be safe, wear your mask. I know we can't do social distancing, but be safe, get tested. Again, why say anything if we're just a Star Wars podcast and we're here to talk Star Wars? We all love the Sith. We all love the Empires and their big ships and their black cloaks and their red lightsabers. But in reality, we all root for the rebels, for the rebellion, the resistance. When Star Wars actors are attacked on social media, what do? We go after those that are irrational in their criticism. When Daisy Ridley was forced out for being the female lead in Star Wars, we spoke out against it. When John Boyega was also attacked by being a Black stormtrooper, we came to his defense. Not that he needs it, because you see how he's out there doing what needs to be done. Kelly Marie Tran forced out of Twitter just because some racist people didn't like her character. We all stood up. So attack their characters if you don't like how they were portrayed in a movie, but don't go after the actor, don't go after the person behind the character. So if we stand up for them, why shouldn't we stand up when we see our brothers and sisters being attacked and murdered day after day? And understand, and I'm saying this seriously, accounts out there, Twitter, Star Wars accounts, that posted on Twitter, still release their episodes without interruption. I understand why. I have no ill feelings against them. Like I said before, I have a job that supports my family, and not everyone does at this moment. For some people, their Star Wars podcast is the main source of income. I'm just going through this pandemic and still trying to get out of all the economic impact. I understand people not wanting to reach their family's well-being and still have to be there putting out content. So I understand completely. And still those accounts went on and tweeted and retweeted Black Lives Matter and Black activists, and they still tweeted out their support. So I understand, and this is not me trying to be better than anyone. And we all love and support John Boyega's statements. First, when he went on Instagram when George Floyd was initially murdered, and then earlier this week, protesting in London with his passionate speech. And I love that Star Wars went after it and supported him wholeheartedly. So yeah, the Empire are the bad guys. They only want humans in their ranks, people that look exactly the same, think exactly the same. The only alien, as we know, was Thrawn, and he was always near than the other Imperials looked sideways at him. The only one that accepted him was the Emperor, but the Emperor was only using him for his political mind and his insight. But the rebellion, the New Republic, what Star Wars is made of, what it consists of, and compromise are humans, Wookiees, Gungans, Thilins, Moncalas, Solostan, Ewoks, even Jawas. All different species, all different race and genders fighting for what's right, not caring about our difference. So again, you might be asking, what can I do? What can just one person do? So if today, just with this episode, I can reach 20 people out there, 15 to 20, then those 15 and 20 people go and talk to another 10 or 15 and tell them what's going on, express themselves and how they can help. And then those 15 or 10 go and talk to another 5 or 10 people. Then we start building something. It's not just started with one person, we keep building and building. And to bring it back to Star Wars and try to cap this up. So people have a lot of complaints about the Rise of Skywalker, but one thing everyone can agree on is Lando, the way Lando was incorporated into the movie and his scenes. It was only 3 scenes, very impactful ones. And I'll go just to 2 of them. I'm sure you guys know where I'm going. When you have 2 minority actors in Billy Dee Williams and Oscar Isaac. So you have first Poe sitting next to Leia on her bed. And Poe, how did you do it? How can so little stand up against so many? And Lando comes in because we had each other. Me, Leia, Han, Luke, we had each other. We need each other now. And then that ending, the final battle, again, Poe is on the comms with all the other fighters. I'm sorry, friend, I thought we stand a chance, but there's just too many of them. And Lando comes around, but there's more of us, Poe. There are more of us. And I need to believe that there are more of us out there that can stand up when we see something that's wrong. It doesn't matter if we're Star Wars fans, have a podcast, or just regular people on the street. We're white, black, American, Latin, Hispanic, Chinese, Europeans, whatever. We know that we can stand up when we see something wrong because there are more of us out there. And yeah, we can say no more. So what does Star Wars mean? A few episodes ago for Star Wars Day, we talked what does Star Wars mean to us? And I always say it's hope. Star Wars means hope. Just Luke staring out the twin suns is hope of a better life for him. So if Star Wars is hope that we will stand up against oppression and aggression, and when we see that someone is getting beaten down, we're going to help them because we know they're going to help us at the end. Rebellions are built on hope. When Leia gets that message at the end of Rogue One, what did they give us? Hope. That boy is our last hope. So yes, Star Wars is a message of hope. So it might be just a Star Wars podcast, but the message is there. The message of hope for everyone to be treated the way they're supposed to be treated, no matter the color of their skin or what they look like or their religious beliefs or sexual affiliation, straight, gay, lesbian, transgender. Everyone deserves the same amount of love and hope out there. So yeah, that's my thoughts on this. And I know it's a lot. Again, it's not a simple issue, but I hope that just me trying to reach a few people out there, then you guys can go and express the same to a few more and then keep this message going and stand up when we see injustices being made. All right, so yeah, you say because you are human. Yeah, we're all human out there. Thanks, Francis. I do believe that there are more of us, and they are. And again, like I mentioned, I understand people not wanting to make too much of this from their podcast or their Twitter account. But again, just doing one little thing is better than doing nothing. So, yeah, there are more of us. So let's keep spreading the word. Like I've seen out there, it's not just one day. We didn't do one thing and then starting on Monday, we're back to our regular lives. It's a constant fight. We have to know how to balance everything. All right, so that's it for my message on Star Wars, the message of hope and the world that's out there right now. All right, so with that said, if you guys are ready, I think I'm ready. Let's talk Star Wars. So Star Wars news. There are a few Star Wars news out there. We're gonna go and talk about them real quick. So the first one is a little bit disappointing, I guess, but not too bad. It was a we learned from Ahmed Best. I don't know if you guys were like me waiting on Wednesday. Where's Jedi Temple Challenge? Where's Jedi Temple Challenge? I want to watch Jedi Temple Challenge. It didn't come up. It didn't show up. A few hours, I think around midday, 1 or 2 p.m. Eastern time, Ahmed Best went on Twitter, I believe he went and said that due to everything that was happening out there in the world, he thought it was better if they postponed it for another week. Him being an executive producer, or at least a producer on this show, made the decision to not overtake the airways with the new show and just let the voices out there give them their platform. So just for 1 week, so in what's today, Saturday, 4 days from now, the debut of Star Wars Jedi Challenge should come up, which is fun for me because that day is my son's birthday. So we'll make a party out of it. After we celebrate, we'll do some sharks, snakes, and dinosaurs that he loves so much. Then we'll sit down for 30 minutes and watch Jedi Temple Challenge, Star Wars Jedi Temple Challenge. So yes, 1 more week. Well, that's fine. We can wait. We've been waiting for the return of Ahmed Best for years, so I'm sure we can wait an extra week. We also learned that he said in a talk he had, I think with ABC News, Good Morning America might have been, he said that his Jedi Master character, Kelleran Beck, is related to his character from the Clone Wars, Attack of the Clones, Beck, and that also he has some sort of relationship with Mace Windu. So hopefully we find out what that is. Like we said last time, he looks great as Jedi Master Kelleran Beck, and we hope to see more of him, not just in Star Wars Jedi Challenge, but hopefully somewhere else. All right, before we move on, let me see what you guys are saying in the comments. Thanks. Thanks. Yeah, you're welcome. We just need to talk about it. Well, you're a droid. Yeah, you are a droid. Don't worry. Droids are welcome. Droids are welcome. That's why we had them in the Rebellion also. I'm going to talk about droids a little bit in a few minutes when we do our review. I finally, I didn't bring it with me. I finished Alphabet Squadron. It got here Tuesday. I probably read it the fastest I've read any book because I still had to work. So 8 hours, a lot of reading this last week. So, hey, Peter, thanks for joining. Thanks for coming. We had a little bit of an issue before, but yeah, we got it. All right. Oh, you have that. Oh, I think, did you post it? I want to say someone posted that figure. It might have been you. All right. So moving on from Star Wars, from keeping up, I should say, with Star Wars news. And I'm messing up all my stuff here. This is not a good show. Anyway, so live action Thrall. There's a rumor. Yay, more rumors. Who knew? So this is coming from This Insider. This Insider, I don't know how trustworthy they are. I'm not the one to be following up on scoops. So I don't know, but hopefully it is a nice source that they're saying that rumors are out there for live action Thrall to come up. And this is not surprising. We did talk a little bit about this last week when we talked about the Ezra live action rumors. That Thrall was just the next one that was going to pop up. So this could be, I'm sorry, I should have done Thrall. For you guys who don't know who Thrall is, look at that blue-eyed cheese with his, blue-skinned cheese with his red eyes. Come to the rebellion. They don't want you in the Empire. All right, so Thrall, we know him from Legends, the Expanded Universe, that great trilogy that I never read. I didn't follow Thrall in the Extended Universe. I didn't read Legends books before extended books. I got into Star Wars novels after. So I knew about him because everyone talked about Thrall. Then he was finally introduced into canon, as we know in Star Wars Rebels. And then the Timothy Thrall. I want to say Timothy Thrall, but no. The last three Thrall trilogy, the Thrall trilogy that was released a couple of years ago, and now there's a new one coming with this time in the Chief's Ascendancy before joining the Empire. So there's more Thrall coming. Not surprising that there are rumors that he's going to be in live action? Again, will this be for that Ahsoka TV show? Is it the Rebel sequel? Is it all the same? I didn't have time to go and do my own casting. What do you call it? Fan casting. But I would love to see Mikkelsen, who does the voice. I think you can just paint him blue. He has the voice already. But there's a few. I know that mural for Star Wars Celebration, he looks like Pierce Brosnan. So just bring Pierce Brosnan. He's a little bit older, but he can pull it off. So what do you guys think? Are you excited for Thrawn making his live action debut? Does it surprise you that Thrawn might show up in live action? So let me know. Michael, I mean, just from a certain point of view, thanks for bearing with us. I know we had some issues in the beginning, twice, but thanks for coming back. Thanks for everything. Your show was great also earlier today. So may the force be with you too. Timothy Son, thank you. Not Timothy Thrawn, Timothy Son. Yes, his Legends trilogy. That's how I knew about Thrawn, but I never read it until he came into live action and into Rebels and current canon. That's how I started following Thrawn. So yeah, Thrawn doesn't surprise me. Might be a little bit difficult to pull off, but if he's there with Ezra, Sabine, Ahsoka, and all those, it does make sense. So we'll see. Live action Thrawn, most likely, give it a few years, you'll be it. All right, so this week in Mando news, we can't have news without Mandalorian reports, but no more casting rumors for a while. It's been a few weeks since we got some casting rumors for Mandalorian Season 2, but our first Mando news comes from the Bespin Bulletin that are saying that Pedro Pascal will be under the armor of the Mandalorian Din Djarin more than he was in Season 1. Again, not surprising, he was doing some other stuff last year when Mando Season 1 was going on, so he could only be there for a few episodes, do the voice, but now he wants to be more under the armor. Again, we saw what he can do in Game of Thrones, also in the Netflix series. I can't believe I forgot the name of the Netflix series, which I love. Season 2 is with Diego Luna. Narcos Season 1, he's great in there. So yeah, more Pedro Pascal under the armor, bring it. The two actors that did it Season 1 were great. Hopefully they'll still be involved. A little bit more Pedro Pascal. It's going to be great. Does this mean that it's going to be with not wearing his helmet as much as he did in Season 1? Possibly. If Bo-Katan comes into play in Season 2, as we believe that she will, we know that she doesn't follow the same creed and the same mantra of not removing your helmet. So maybe she brings this into play and we see more of him without the helmet. And then our last bit of news was the new episode 6 of Disney Gallery, The Mandalorian. That documentary, the episode was called Process, and it went over the way they structure each episode. And it was very interesting. It was the shortest one, under 20 minutes. But I've said it before, I don't know anything about making movies. I know nothing about making TV shows. But the way they explained it puts you in their shoes and how things like this are created. It's not as simple as just, all right, everyone's on set, you read the script, action. There's a lot of stuff that comes into play. I think Deborah Chow at one point mentioned that she was involved in everything 2 months before she started shooting, when usually it's a couple of days. In the other TV shows she's made, you're there for about 4 or 5 days and then you start shooting your episode, when she was here for 2 months. So Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau talked that it all starts with ideas. Favreau and Filoni sit down, they have their ideas of how to make the episode and the show. Then Favreau sits down, writes the script, polishes the script, sends it out to the storyboard artists who then do all the storyboards, as we know. Then if they're okay with that, then they pass it to the animators and they do pencil drawings of all the storyboards, which reminded me of all those when you grab a notebook and do a lot of drawings in each page and then just, that's what it looked like. And it's so amazing to think that a high budgeted show like Star Wars goes through all this process. First, ideas, brainstorming, then let's write them down. Okay, we got it, let's have someone draw it so we have an idea of how it's going to look on screen. Now let's put some animation behind it. After those pencil drawings, they goes to pre-visualization, when they basically shoot the whole episode in CG. And with all the new technology, every time Favreau talks about the progress they made from Jungle Book to Lion King to now working in the volume, it's great to see the progression just in a few years. And the importance of having, sorry, it's a bit dark here. It's raining in Florida, so it's a little bit dark in my room. So yeah, how important previous is, not just for the directors and the actors who kind of know how this story is going to play, but now that they have the volume, they need those previews ahead of time so they can do all the rendering they need for the volume ahead of time. We saw that great episode talking about the volume, how quickly in 30 minutes they could set up the scenes and reshoot and do things different if they need it. But if they don't have that pre-visualization ahead of time to set all this up, then you still fall back. So how important it is to do all this stuff, how early the directors are involved in everything in the show. It's not just for their own episode. They're involved, like I mentioned, 2 months before in pre-visualization, so they knew how to shoot, how to move the actors around. And then they spent a lot of time going from this is previous to then the final shoot. And then Famuyima talking about his episode when Mando's the prisoner, and that fight scene with the droids in the New Republic prisoner ship. Just seeing everything from the pre-visualization to the actors in mocap suit to then the final shot. Again, it's a whole process, how it changed the type of droids that we're going to use, just the floating ones that we see at one point in that episode, to these humanoid droids and how they had to be manipulated, but it all went through previous, the guys in mocap suit, then to the final shot. So in all these episodes, the Mandalorian documentary shines so much light into how a TV show is made and all the process behind it. And again, it's how much everyone involved in it loves it. Everyone's involved, not just Dave and John. It's all the directors, all the different animation departments, the CGI department, the creature department. When they say, "Oh, just call Doug Chan to pencil draw some new droid," so everyone's involved in it. And then Filoni saying to his animator friends, "Oh, look, they're thinking about like animators now, everything that we have to do." So I know those episodes are great. That was episode 6, so we only have 2 more left. So that's bad, only 2 more. Yeah, so 2 more episodes, and that's gonna be it for the Mandalorian and the Mandalorian documentary. And I'm just gonna show this because I put it on and I forgot. Sorry. Again, it's not the best day. So yeah, we talked first about Pedro Pascal being in the suit a little bit more. There he is. And then, oops, the gallery. There we go. Yeah, the gallery, Mandalorian. All right, we talked about it already. All right, so that's it for Star Wars news. Not a lot of Star Wars news this week, obviously, with everything going on. But I didn't get a chance to look too much into it. I think there's a new Star Wars game coming out soon, maybe a flight simulator game. And we're going to hear about it in a couple of days. So we'll see. I mentioned before, I don't have time to get into a lot of Star Wars games, unfortunately. But that's it. All right, so we're going to go to our final topic, our main topic for the day, and that is our spoiler review of Alphabet Squadron in one of our segments called Star Wars Rewind. So yes, Alphabet Squadron is a book by Alexander Freed that came out last year. And I didn't get a chance to read it then. Like I mentioned before, I received a lot of, oops, this is not it. Sorry. So my notes, don't look at my notes. All right, we're back. Alphabet Squadron. So yes, I didn't get into Alphabet Squadron when it came out last year. I just heard a great bunch of reviews. Everyone's talking about it. The sequel, the second book is coming out later this month. So I decided to, you know what? I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna read and see what everyone has to say about Alphabet Squadron, and I don't regret it. It's a great book. So again, I started, as I was reading, I was keeping my own notes. And when I finished earlier today, I had 8 pages of notes. It's too much. So I brought it down to 6, but still there's too much to be here. Will be another 2 hours if we just start talking about everything I wrote down. But just a few of my thoughts and my quick review, spoiler review. So if you haven't read Alphabet Squadron, please step away for 10, 15 minutes, come back, wait till the episode is over, and then watch everything again. Or listen to the audio podcast after you've read the book and then come and check our review. And if you guys have read it out there in the comments in the chat, just let me know what you thought and we'll have a quick discussion about it. So yes, like I mentioned, it's the first in a trilogy written by Alexander Freed. The first one came, I think, almost exactly a year ago. Then its sequel, Alphabet Squadron Shadowfall, is coming out in about 1 or 2 weeks in June 2020. So some of the things that I liked, I love space battles. Space battles is one of my favorite things in Star Wars, and it's the one thing that was missing from the sequel trilogy. Yeah, we had a atmospheric battle in The Force Awakens. We had more that naval battle in The Last Jedi, and then another atmospheric battle in The Rise of Skywalker. Star Wars is known for its space battles. A New Hope over Yavin, arguably the best one, the Battle of Endor, what we saw over Scarif, Episode 3, the beginning of Revenge of the Sith. So all of those are great space battles, and that's what was missing from the sequel trilogy. So it's great if you like that type of Star Wars to see that in book form, because it's developed so great. Writing space battle is extremely difficult because they might just be too repetitive. But the way he writes it, everything is engaging. You know exactly what's going on. Having each main character have a different ship, B-wing, Y-wing, X-wing, A-wing, and U-wing, makes the action great because each ship behaves differently. So the way they have to be flown are different. The way the B-wing is, the gyroscope and everything has to align depending on what they're doing. The speed of the A-wing against the U-wing, how they have to maneuver to work together. If you go too fast, you leave your squadron behind. Every character, of course, have different motivations. They all come from different places. So the way that Alexander Freed was able to mesh all this into a interesting story was great. And it reads, at least for me, the first half of it reads like a history book. It feels like Star Wars and it builds on the lore, but it doesn't ask you to know everything that happened beforehand. Again, you don't need to know the whole history of events prior to be able to enjoy this book. It tells you the events in time, the historic events, and you can search for them if you want. So again, it's like reading a history book and might tell the Battle of whatever hill. Oh, that looks interesting. Let me go find about it. So that's the way I took it, as almost as a documentary history book, the way that it goes about all the different battles in Star Wars or the different planets or the people involved. Seemed like a history book to me. The book also shows that just because you defect the empire to the New Republic or the rebellion, it doesn't mean that right then and then you forget everything that the empire has meant to you, what you've learned from it, its behaviors, its mannerisms, its culture, your friends. You still have that inside. Just because you say, oh, today I'm joining the other side, doesn't mean that years and years of indoctrination fall behind. So our main character, Eureka Quelle, is still fighting this. Every time she's forced to kill a stormtrooper, go against the Empire, she feels that knot in her stomach. Is she doing the right thing? When she sees a stormtrooper getting abused or hit, she wants to jump in and say something, and then, oh no, I'm on the other side now. So just because you defect doesn't mean you're 100% on the other side. There's some great quotes in this book, and I think with everything that's been happening in the real world today, this was a book that makes you think also. There's a few quotes that I wrote down. Their pain doesn't diminish yours, which again, I don't want to go back to what we talked at the beginning, or maybe we should. When people say Black Lives Matter, and then all lives matter, and we know the issues, but just their pain doesn't diminish yours. So if someone is saying that they're hurting, that there's an issue going on, you shouldn't step in. Oh yeah, well, my pain is just as yours. Okay, but that's not the problem right now. What you went through, that's not the problem that we're trying to fix now. So this makes you think about it. Because another quote, because when innocents die in a war, there should be a point to it. Yes, you can take these different ways. Yes, there should be a point. You shouldn't just be fighting a war to fight a war, but also should innocents be dying in any type of war, depending on what the point is. And then the final quote I wrote down, and this sounded like imperial propaganda to validate what they do, was, war is always monstrous, but that doesn't make us monsters. again, it makes you think a little bit. So the state of things, the state of the galaxy during this book, and this is actually my first official book review, so it might be going a bunch of different ways. I did review the Star Wars novelization for The Rise of Skywalker, but that was a little bit different, reviewing a book from the movie. You kind of just, I basically just went through these are the points that are different in the book from the movies, the things that they expanded for each character. This being a full book review is a little bit different, so hopefully it gets better. But the state of the universe, or the state of the galaxy, there's a power vacuum between when the Emperor was killed and the formation of the New Republic that led to increase in crime, piracy, and criminal organizations that had been curtailed by the Empire. So some good did come from the Empire. There's another section in the book that talks about slavery and how the Empire didn't outlaw slavery, but it kept it in check, basically, while during the Republic, no one cared about slavery as long as it was in the court walls. They let it go. Yeah, if you can't see it, don't worry about it. The Empire did a little bit more with slavery than the Republic. So if you want to go to that, there's heroes on both sides. You can still see them. And the New Republic wasn't built for winning. They weren't used to winning. The rebellion didn't think they were going to win. So they were always short on supplies, munitions. Each extra battle meant that they didn't have enough supplies and support to keep them going for long. The Empire erased the Jedi from history. We always say, how can people forget about the Jedi? They were so prominent only 30 years ago. If the people in power keep telling you, no, what you're reading is false, they didn't exist, no, they weren't good, they tried to dethrone the Emperor, and all this, you keep hearing that over and over, you start believing it. But once you jump to the New Republic side and to the rebellion, they start building up again. You hear more about the Jedi, more about the Force. So again, it makes you think, depending on which side you're on, what you're going to be hearing out there. General Hera Syndulla. It's great to hear it. She's running her own fleet out of this space battleship called the Lodestar, and that's where half of the book takes place. The Imperial Navy had scattered and dissolved. The Imperial Navy had scattered and dissolved, but isolated fleets had come together under the command of admirals and regional governors in different planets and sectors. And it was Hera's mission to eliminate all these oppositions and reclaim the territory. So the main characters, I'll try to go through this quickly. I don't want to go point by point, but we have five main characters of Alphabet Squadron. The first one is Eureka Quelle. So Eureka Quelle was an Empire defector. She was found in this place called Traitor's Remorse when they sent all the defectors. So Eureka Quelle is an ex-TIE fighter pilot of the 204th Fighter Wing known as Shadow Wing. Like I mentioned, Imperial defector. She had joined the Imperial Academy just to get flight training and then was going to defect to the Rebel Alliance, which comes to mind Luke Skywalker. He wanted to join the Academy to get some flight experience, but he wasn't going to be part of the Empire. But for Quelle, after years of making friends and seeing the Empire as not as bad as the Rebel propaganda said, she stopped planning to defect and she became a full-on Empire member. But after she defects, she becomes part of Alphabet Squadron, becomes their commander. She flies an X-Wing. Then you have young Will Lark. So Will Lark is an A-Wing pilot who was ready to go home. He was part of Riot Squadron during the Battle of Endor. So he did fight in the Battle of Endor, and that's brought up a couple of times through the book, how everyone wants to hear his stories of the second Death Star and flying next to Luke Skywalker or being in the same battle as Luke Skywalker. But he doesn't want to talk about it. All he wants to do is go home, because for Will, their planet became under siege by the Empire. And after being ignored from the Empire for a while, they started... Sorry again. So the queen of the planet that Will lived that made a deal with the Rebel Alliance that would send the best pilot from each community to the Alliance until they were free of the Emperor's shadow. And Will, of course, was one of those pilots, and he promised after the Empire was defeated, he would return home. But that didn't happen. Every time that he thought he was done, a new battle came in. And by the end of the book, yeah, the Empire's gone, their mission is complete, but he's still part of this new Alphabet Squadron, and he doesn't want to leave them behind. So going home, I have to wait a little bit more for Will Lark. So I'm having trouble with my sharing screen today. Our following character that we are introduced to is Chestnut Chaddock, who's a female feeling, a B-wing pilot. She plays music when she's flying her B-wing. She sings while she's flying, so it reminds of all of us when we're driving our car, just blasting the music out. And she met Jean Erso one day. Jean saved her life on this planet that she was on, and then a year later, she's watching a holo video of Jean Erso's speech to the other rebel leaders before leaving to Scarif, and that motivated her to join the Rebel Alliance. And she wants to be like Jean Erso, like Luke Skywalker, like Mon Mothma, all the rebel heroes. She wants to be part of this big battle that means something, and every time she's taken away from those situations, she feels bad about it. She feels her life doesn't mean anything unless she's part of those battles. Our following main character for Alphabet Squadron is Nath Tenset, who is also an Imperial defector. He flies a Y-wing, and for Nath, he defected from the Empire before the Death Star destroyed Alderaan. So it's a little bit different than Quelle. He ran a criminal organization afterward, and he was found by the rebels. So he joined the New Republic, but then left them. Also, he just wanted to make money. And he's brought into Alphabet Squadron, forcing his hate for Shadow Wing, because they did kill his squadron at one point. But he's brought into Alphabet Squadron just to spy behind Quelle, because the leader of Alphabet Squadron, the guy running the show, doesn't trust her. So he brings Nath Tenset as a security blanket to get more information about this defector that they don't believe that she's full on with the New Republic and might be just a plant. And the last character from Alphabet Squadron is Kairos, which, look at that. She was my favorite character from the whole book. We don't know a lot about her history or her species or anything. She only speaks once. She communicates through sounds, lets her droid do the talking at some points. But it's a great character. She does have there's a scene in the novel. They go to this place. I'm not going to it now. So, all right. I'm stalling a little bit and having issues here. But so Alphabet Squadron is brought together by Cairn Aidan, who's the New Republic intelligence. He believes that the New Republic can't just trust in firepower. It can't be all military. The intelligence has to be there to fight the new enemy, the new way the Empire is built. So he builds up this squadron of misfits, basically, to go find the Shadow Wing, the 204th Division of the Empire that's wreaking havoc. Is going planet by planet to different outposts and just destroying everything. And he wants to find out who they are and what they can do to stop them. So the enemies are Shadow Wing, the 204th, which are led by Colonel Shakara Norris, who's also Empire. She's from the Star Destroyer Pursuer, which is the same Star Destroyer that Quelle used to work at. She leads Shadow Wing. She's known as Grandmother. And everything that takes place, I should go back a little bit. What steps up the motion of creating Alphabet Squadron was Operation Cinder. So Operation Cinder was, well, let me find it real quick. So Operation Cinder was sent by the Emperor's Messenger. I think this is from the Battlefront game. the red cloak guy and has a metal blackout metal clear face with the Emperor's face on it, just the Emperor's messenger. He went to Norris and basically said, Operation Cinder is a go. This is part of our contingency plan. Didn't say why, just go and start burning planets. And that's what Operation Cinder was. They didn't know if it was worthy. There wasn't a real reason behind it. And then, so two of our characters, Will and Chaz, are on this planet Necronis when Operation, sorry, that's, so I'm messing up this review. Should have read this before. So anyways, I'm having trouble with this, so I'm just gonna finish up real quick. I'll try to do a better review next time. So Alphabet Squadron, after Alphabet Squadron is made up of these 5 pilots that, of course, they don't work together well. They come from different squadrons and different points of view. They find out that Shadow Wing and Norris have built an outpost on this planet that its atmosphere is covered in Tibanna gas. So if they make a bombardment, they're going to explode the whole planet. And that's what happened with Operation Cinder when the Empire just started burning different planets using their atmosphere against them. This is when Eureka Quelle defected from the Empire. She gave the people from Traitors Remorse, when she defected, bogus story of why she left, and that's why they don't trust her. But Hera tells them, hey, we found out Pandem Nice, this planet, the Empire built an outpost there. We gotta go and shut it down, basically. But on the other side, Karen Aidan doesn't care too much about that. He just wants to deal with the 204th unit. So they finally find this planet after. So a cool thing in this book that goes to kind of matches up with The Last Jedi is tracking after the Republic goes on hyperspace. So what was the name of the Helion's Dare is the command ship that Will and Chaz are on, and every time that 204th unit engages them, they have to go into hyperspace. After a couple of hours, they show up again. They have to get the coordinates. They jump back into hyperspace, and they keep getting found, and they don't know why. And it turns out that every time before they jump into hyperspace, they're able to isolate one of their fighters. And right as they're jumping, before this fight, of course, they destroy it, and they take the hyperspace coordinates. And that's how they're tracking the New Republic every time they jump into hyperspace. So after all this new group is created in Alphabet Squadron, they find out that the 204th and Norris are hiding on Pandem 9. Hera agrees to have the mission be a go. But of course, it doesn't go as they planned. Their plan was to destroy the outpost, plant some bombs, destroy the core that would take care of it. But trying to improvise, Quelle tells Chaz to blow up some gas pods. But all the explosion between the gas pods, the reactor ignited Tibanna gas on the planet. And it seems to be the same thing that happened with Operation Cinder. Everything is falling down on the planet, so they have to call off their mission and try to save the TIE fighters are trying to escape. And then the falling debris that's going to fall on the planet, they have to find a way to stop it from falling. So Quelle is shooting down all the debris, trying to disintegrate it. Will and Nath are trying to navigate the TIE fighters out while destroying certain pods just to give them more space to go or more speed. And while all this is going on, Nath jumps out of his X-Wings and gets into the outpost where Norris is, the leader of the 204th Squadron, is able to kill her there. That was his mission, was to kill Norris and get some information about Quelle and her time in the Empire that Karen Aidan wanted, because Nath was just there for the money. So after everything's done, they're able to complete the mission. Most of the 204th unit fighter wing are able to escape, so Shadow Wing does escape. But they did kill Norris. They did save the people of Pandem 9, so for them was a win. We learn at this point that Quelle's story at the beginning was a lie. She didn't defect because she thought Operation Cinder was wrong. She went on with Operation Cinder, completed it, and at the end, she landed her TIE fighter on this planet. Operation Cinder was going on Acronis, and then her mentor, who was called Major Soran Keys, tells her, "You're not built for this. You're not built for it. The Empire is done. There's not going to be another Emperor. The Empire won't come back. So just go to the New Republic, join the New Republic, and help out that way because you're good at it. You're just, if you stay here, you're a fanatic and you're just fighting because you want to fight and you're going to die. So just go and join the New Republic." But of course, that's not what she tells her people in the New Republic. She tells them that after the fight, she landed, someone found her, and she defected. So Major Soran Keys, after telling Quell to defect to the New Empire, to the New Republic, he doesn't defect, but he's not going to be part of the Empire anymore. He leaves. Everyone thinks that he's dead. But midway through the book, we're introduced to this mysterious character that we don't know what he's doing there, and we find out he's an ex-Imperial. He stops a bombing attack at least, but at the end it's revealed that it is Major Keys. He's still alive. And after he sees what happened in Pandem Night and the New Republic celebrating this big victory, even though what they did cause a lot of destruction on that planet, he decides that it's time to join the fight again, but it's going to go find Shadow Wing, gonna join again with the 204th Squadron Wing and bring the fight to the New Republic. And that's where it ends. And now leading into the second book, Alphabet Squadron Shadowfall, which again, like I mentioned, I believe is coming out in a few weeks. So yes, that's my very bad review of Alphabet Squadron. As I'm going through it, I know I'm not making a lot of sense, but I will recommend this book for people out there. If you love Star Wars canon books, I think this is a great one. It does expand on everything that was happening in Star Wars after Endor, everything was going on. After we think that the Empire is done, the Emperor is no more. The new canon, we've learned that there's more stuff going on with the Empire, and this book expands on it. It's a character book. You learn so much about each character. There's a part when they go into a temple that they think is a rebellion cache. I was gonna say, Hera tells them, go to this outpost. This planet is an old rebellion hideout. How many secret hideouts did the rebellion have? They had Hoth, they had Dantooine, they had Yavin, they had Scarif, Crate. How many secret outposts can you have in the galaxy? I guess they had a lot. But the one that Hera sends them turns out to be a Jedi Temple. And of course, things happen in Jedi temples, and they have different visions. That's where they open up. They start telling their own stories. I think the way Kairos, which I said she doesn't really speak, the story that she tells, she does with dust and sand. She grabs a bunch of dust and then makes sculptures basically on the ground, and they have to interpret it. I think she was in Jeddah when it exploded. The way she talks about it, or doesn't talk about images that she creates, I believe she was in Scarif. So yes, Alphabet Squadron is a great book, especially if you love space battles, if you love character development. I do recommend this one. So I see I have a bunch of comments probably about you guys telling me to start making some sense on that review. So let me see. Yeah, Alphabet Squadron got space battles, Atmo battles on Pandan High. So it's a great book. Again, battles, that's what you want. So I read it. I didn't do the audiobook. Yes, see, Mr. Rest did read. I'm sure this is going to be a great audiobook because audiobooks give you all the music, the special effects. So listening to this book on audiobook, I'm sure it's going to be great. Will Lark is a great character. Again, this kid that just wants to be good, wants to help everyone, but still doesn't take pride in himself for all the work. Everyone tells him how great a pilot he is. He's an ace pilot, but he doesn't want to believe it. He shuts it down. He's always there to help everyone. Again, he was there on Endor, but I mean, Endor is still alive. Yeah. Yeah, I know, Michael. I know you're not a big fan. Reread it, see what happens. Nath Tansett, again, that's the character that plays both sides, basically, or you think he's going to play both sides. He's there to help Alphabet Squadron, but he's also there on his own mission, plus the mission from Aiden, which I thought was going to go a little bit different, but in the end, he's a good guy. Like all those smugglers and people, I know who you are. You are the good guy. So yes, Alphabet Squadron was a great book. Thanks for everyone that recommended it. Like I said, I knew about it. I just didn't have a chance to get it beforehand. But yeah, now I'm glad that I did. So that brings an end to this episode. Make sure if you guys are on the chat, thanks as always. Thanks for sticking with all the issues we had at the beginning, and then through my review that I know was a little bit stale at the midway point. But thanks for sticking through. Thanks for always supporting the channel. Do what you can to help people out there that really need help. Spread the word, retweet, sign petitions, do whatever you can. Episode 24 is coming to an end. Next week is our big 25th episode of Radio Rebellion, a Star Wars podcast. I'm going to be hopefully still collaborating with a couple of other podcasts out there, but most likely will just be an audio show. It won't be a live chat, unfortunately, but doesn't matter. We're going to talk Star Wars. It's going to be a great show, so be on the lookout for that one next week. If you're listening to this later on the replay on YouTube, make sure to give us a like, leave your comment, ask me any questions that you want. If you're listening to the audiobook later, also rate, review, send me your comments on Twitter. I'll do my best answering. Almost forgot. I got some stickers in. Radio Rebellion, Star Wars podcast stickers. We made it. We got stickers. So if you want one, it's 50, but I'm keeping a few for myself. If you want one, send me a quick DM. I'll get them to you as fast as I can. Thanks as always for supporting us. Support everyone out there that you can. Support Black voices. Support LGBTQ communities. Everyone that's always been discriminated against. Give them your support. Just tell them hi. How you doing? That should be at least something is something. And I know I say this at the end of every episode, but I do mean it this time. For everyone out there, stay safe, rebels. Be safe. May the force be with you.